Welcome to another episode of Just Vibing, episode 9. I'm here with the president of the Rutgers Sports Business Association, Rohan Nihalani. We connected, I guess, earlier this year. I was looking for new opportunities, new things to do at Rutgers and really just in the sports, sports space. Related to sports business, related to just anything. And I don't know, I kind of came across this club and yeah, I mean, it's been a good fit for me and like what I'm trying to do. I've become like one of the co-heads of the blog, which is good because I'm trying to do sports writing, make that one of my big passions. I realize that's one of my strong suits in the industry and whatnot. But yeah, no, I mean, it's great to invite you to the podcast, Rohan, and yeah, I guess, just real quick, if you could just like introduce yourself and kind of your role in the organization and kind of how you know me and stuff like that.
Yeah. So my name's Rohan. I'm senior at Rutgers University, majoring in finance and business analytics IT. I'm currently the president of the Rutgers Sports Business Association. So one day we were doing the involvement fair, and then I met Arnav through there. And then we had like a first meeting, and eventually Arnav told me that he was interested in being part of the e-board. Then from there, we kind of took a step forward, put him on the e-board, made him head of the blog, and then since then, me and Arnav had multiple great conversations, whether it's about the Giants, anything sports business related, and we kind of just learn from each other. And I would say, and like just can keep growing from there. But yeah, that's just
Right.
been
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, basically you kind of did tell that story. Yeah, I mean, I was looking for kind of some new opportunities, came across, the Rutgers Sports Business Association at the club fair, and then a few months later at the first meeting, and I decided, I want to be on the involvement on be on the e-board. I want to have kind of a leadership position for I leave. And also I enjoy doing, the sports writing and everything goes with
yeah,
the content creation. So yeah, I mean, it's been a good experience working with you and Tanvi and like some of the other people at the Sports Business Association. I kind of do wish, just like everything else I've been a part of, that I did start probably a little earlier. But I know last year we were kind of like not really a club anyway, so kind of like
yeah,
making a comeback. So yeah, and like you said, we've had great conversations about like the Giants, sports business, like career
yeah,
paths, like anything, March Madness. It's always good to text about that kind of stuff because we're fans of the same things and we have bounce off each other's perspectives and kind of trade ideas about whatever
yeah,
it is, football, basketball. Yeah, which is kind of what I wanted to talk to you like about. But this series is it's like one of my, I guess, personal favorites because I kind of created it with the idea of having guests on to talk about their personal experience. There's usually a sports tie-in. It doesn't always have to be, but tends to be that way. But like more like the personal side behind like their sports fandom, their sports. Like a lot of people I interviewed were a part of either like some of the other
yeah,
activities like sports radio or Riot Squad or different things like that, or like other content creators. So like they're how they got into it. But obviously you being the president of Sports Business Association, you've had that role for several years. It's a little bit of a different, I guess, perspective than I've had previously, which is also like why I wanted to have you on the show. But if you could just like kind of go into like what your background is with like I guess both being a sports fan and also like what you aspire to do in like kind of like sports business and how it ties into your the club and everything.
yeah. So I think let me start with like the sports business part of it and what I will aspire to be. My goal and my dream is to be a sports agent or at least work in some sort of sports sales related world that's not ticketing, and not merchandise
Right.
sales.
Yeah.
I kind of want to work directly with players, kind of work directly with athletes, helping them get the best contracts available, best contract, and like help them with the negotiations. And I always kind of felt like that was the right fit for me. I've always been a people person. I always believe that like in sports, it's such a great and sports is just a great way of connecting people, and it's just a way you can go into any bar in America and just talk about sports with any random dude, and they'll get along with you, as long as you can accept what
That's
they're
true.
saying.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
but because of that, it always made me wonder like what would it be like to work in sports, and I've always believed that like, hey, look, I can talk with anyone, I can I'm persuasive any way I want. I believe it was natural for me to eventually become a sports agent. I always like the analytical side of like the way people think and like in negotiation, there's always there's two sides to it. There's my side and
Right.
obviously the GM, and I like looking at the analytical of like, hey, what could they bring up in negotiation? What could they think, and how can I counteract that? So that kind of always like what led me to it. I also kind of was slightly interested in law, and maybe looking at doing a JD MBA. And although I kind of did put that on pause right now, I'm going to try to see how I can kind of break in without having to do a law degree. Maybe I'll just do a straight master's in sports law or something like that, which a lot of universities don't, some universities do offer. So hopefully I can break in that way.
Yeah, no, sports law, that sounds really cool. Same thing with the agent, of course. Like that's like a big part of like sports, like people
Yeah,
representing the players. It's never like that's really interesting. I mean, obviously for me, like it's a little different because I was part of radio, part of been doing
yeah,
writing, so I've always aspired to be on like either play-by-play or like color or like one of those things, or maybe even like it's kind of shifted to more like I want to be a writer because I realize that's where my strengths at. I enjoy doing the podcast, but the
right.
sports business world is also like very interesting, and it's definitely a lot going on like in that as well. And like that's I guess that's what's the purpose, I mean, of this club, like the Sports Business Association, to help people like you and myself like to get into roles like on that side of the
Exactly.
industry.
And the sports industry relatively is small in itself. Like agents know all the reporters, and like
Yeah,
how to
everyone's kind of
yeah,
interconnected
like
in a way. Yeah,
how did information get leaked, right?
like
I'm gonna
shams and people like
I'm
that.
gonna hit
Yeah,
my boy up Arnav and tell him, hey, my client is requesting a trade. I want you to be the first one to report on it, and
right.
that's how it usually would go typically, and that's how you kind of use it as leverage in your negotiations, right? Because you will use me to report stuff, and I will use you to kind of get leverage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Like people like Shams and Woj, like the people, they have ties. All the reporters, like they have ties to the
Exactly.
agents, so then they're the first ones to put out the news. Like so I
Yeah.
follow like a lot of those people on Twitter as well, of course, like who break news and stuff. But no, that's really cool. So I guess yeah, I mean, if you could like just I guess talk about like kind of like the club as a whole, like RSBA, and how they I guess kind of help people to get into those types of
Yeah,
roles and stuff
definitely.
like that.
So Rutgers Sports Business Association is a club that I would join. I joined my freshman year of college. Kind of taught me a lot about the different avenues in sports. When you kind of think of doing a sports related job, you're thinking about being GM, you're thinking about doing scouting, but you don't really realize there's a whole business side of it, right? People can work in a job like ticket sales and marketing for like the Giants, or they
Right.
can go for the Yankees and kind of work in like brand partnership where you're like looking to get the sponsors for the team, the jersey patches. Or you can even like go into like working for like a Nike, and you can be a brand rep and try to get athletes to work for you. There's so many different avenues to work in sports, and for goal for Rutgers Sports Business Association is to kind of open your eyes and work in a different field in sport that you would not typically want to or think of working in. And a lot of people have a passion for sports, and being in sports, but they don't really pursue that because they're not really educated on what career fields are out there, right? So Arnav, I know you kind of do the writing in a blog, and I want to be an agent, but there are so many other jobs that you can do in sports, and I think it's important as a club that I can educate people on that, and kind of help them find those jobs that they actually kind of see the fit with. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great like explanation. Yeah, I feel like that is like really what the club's about, and I guess that's kind of what drew me to it, like a different way to look at it, and try to find your footing in the industry because it's a tough one. Like I think one of the main things I learned from my time at radio is like how good you have to be to make it in those roles. Like the best people here will probably be like maybe the bottom end of like the next level, and then you have to spend years as a producer and work your way up or do lower level, and like there's just so many other different ones. There's people doing
Yeah.
sideline, there's people doing production, there's people doing talk shows, there's people, like I mean, doing commentary, there's people like writing, there's something like reporting and being an agent. Like there's so many different like, or like ticket sales, marketing. Like I've been to like some of those career fairs, like for like the teamwork and online. Like I went to one of those. Like that's like a whole different like side of the industry as well. Like the people working like with athletics and stuff like that. Like I know people do that too. So yeah, there's just so many different paths, but I think it's important to like, yeah, I mean, I guess show people like how they can, like how, yeah, where they exactly can kind of fit in and what kind of opportunities like are like available, and how to, I guess progress towards getting
Yeah,
to
and
it.
also the club point of the club too is to also network within the club itself with like-minded individuals, right? So like every
Mhm.
member of the e-board, we all get along and we all have different career paths of what we want to do in sports.
Right.
I wanted to be a sports agent. Someone else wanted to work in sports private equity, which is like buying up stakes in teams
Right.
at 10% of as part of a larger firm and doing evaluation because they're passionate about like the finance side of sports.
Yeah.
Um, and as a result, you get this club that's like very uniquely shaped because everyone is so niche on what they want to do that you actually kind of bounce ideas off and you get different perspective. And I think that's the best part about being part of like the Rutgers Sports Business Association or any sports business club because everyone is very unique in what they want to do.
Yeah, that's true. I met like a whole different side of like the industry through this, and like what different people want to do. And like you said, everyone's different. Like we have people doing, I think, we have another, we have our own podcast through RSBA. So there's that.
Yeah,
There's the writing. There's, like you want to be an agent. Like I guess Vidachi wants to do like private equity. So like all of that good stuff. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Like meetings are fun. And like you showed like the tips on networking. Like I've actually like had calls with a few different people that graduated from Rutgers
yeah,
in the sports industry, and like I think
exactly.
someone's like doing research like for like the NHL, like the TV numbers. Like she was like pretty nice, and then someone else I forgot, like yes, everyone has like a different, like someone does like NBA
Yeah,
like production, someone does like he's like the managing editor for fantasy and like hockey. Like it's like very niche, but like
yeah.
he's done a lot of writing. Like
And
so
then
everyone has a different path, which is
yeah,
there's
and then
no one right or wrong like path to go. Like whatever, you try different things and you find what works for you. And that's one thing I learned about this industry, and in particular, that you have to say yes to everything. You have to have an open mind, and
yeah,
eventually you kind of figure out where you're good at and where you want to go from by trying all
exactly,
these different things out.
exactly.
But yeah, no, that's pretty, it's pretty cool. And then some of the other events that we've had that have been fun, like the draft night, or I mean the NFL free agency thing that we did, that was like pretty cool, like the networking session. So yeah, I mean, in a short time, I feel like it's been pretty useful, as a club. Obviously, we have plans on expanding and growing it, and future events and stuff like that. Maybe some watch parties, like a lot
Yeah.
of different fun stuff coming up, right?
Yeah, hopefully we will run a lot of them with like at least a month, just one more month left in the semester, and
Exactly.
hopefully we can
Yeah.
execute everything we want to do.
Yeah, hopefully in this month we maybe even have a watch party. We have some more fun events, but yeah, I mean, this should be a good time. I know me and you are both planning on graduating, or not even planning on. We are
Yeah,
going to be graduating in May
yeah,
2025. So, I guess yeah, since we're having this conversation, like, what's kind of like been your overall experience like at Rutgers over the 4 years, and or any like any takeaways, anything that
yeah.
you really enjoy or not. You know what I mean?
I think a little bit of background. So I grew up in Edison, New Jersey, and the
Mhm.
day I realized I'm going to Rutgers, I got into a bunch of other schools, but it was kind of like during peak COVID, and it was kind of
Yeah.
rough to figure out like where you want to go.
Right.
And
Right.
I wanted to go to a Cali school and like or Florida school. Kind of enjoy warm weather.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, like it was not in the cards because you just didn't know anything with COVID. I had to get back home. Will I even be able to get back home? I didn't have any family in the area, so I thought at the time it was probably best for me to go Rutgers. And growing up here, everybody goes to Rutgers. Like your
Yeah,
friends'
that's
friends go to
true. Yeah.
Rutgers.
Mhm.
Friends' mom probably went to Rutgers. My dad's best friend at work went to Rutgers. So like it
Yeah.
being in New Jersey,
Half
Rutgers
of
is
our high
the
school
school.
goes to Rutgers, like, so.
Exactly, and I think, for me, it was a bit of a bit of a reality check, like, it hit me that, like, I'm going to Rutgers, and it hit me hard,
Yeah.
um, and
Yeah.
I wasn't happy about it because I felt like
Yeah, that's the thing,
we
especially, like,
we
all the people who
we
didn't wanna go to Rutgers, they ended
yeah,
up also going to Rutgers too, so it's just
so,
like, wow.
um, but I got in, and I worked my butt off. I got 2 great internships from my experience here, um, and what I learned in these 4 years is that it's not about where you go, it's about what you make it out to be.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Um, Going to Rutgers, I was still able to stay close to home, stay around my family. I was able to see my cousins like almost every other week. And it's blessings in little ways that you don't even know. And I was able to get the job I wanted. I was able to stay near home for the summer. And that's the little thing that I care about, right? So, um, and now that I'm graduating next month, um, I'm gonna kind of miss being at Rutgers in the sense that like I probably did spend like my best 4 years here. I spent a lot
Yeah.
of I had some great memories here.
Everyone
I went,
says that too, like later in
you go to all
lifespan.
these great sporting events, you go to all these
Mhm.
great things, you build a lot of relationships and friends, and you just hope to carry along with you wherever you go next.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, kind of the same for me. I mean, kind of like the same. I mean, same, similar and different. I guess going. I was a senior during when COVID hit in high
Yeah,
school at JP. Also born and raised in Edison. Still live there too. So
nice.
I've commuted all 5 years. But no, I mean, yeah, like, but JP was nice. But I mean, like, going to Rutgers, a different experience. Like, yeah, I came in through the COVID pandemic. So first year was remote. So that was, kind of just like doing classes. I was also in the business school, which I've transferred out of. It's kind of a long story, but I kind of realized maybe that wasn't the direction I wanted to go into necessarily with finance and accounting. Although originally I thought so. I did some clubs at the time related to it. Didn't really find a fit, but I also did a
Nice.
lot of other fun clubs. Like I was in like the Rutgers marching band, which is really where I found my passion for college sports. I've always been a big professional sports guy, like obviously the Giants and the Nets, like whatnot, but my teams. But like Rutgers, yeah, I mean being at the games and all with a musical background, playing, like I was in marching band in high school at JP for 3 years out of four. So yeah, I mean I've been in band before that in concert. So like doing music, playing piano, synthesizer, and then also being at the Rutgers games. That I really,
Yeah,
seeing them up close is just like that really made me fall in love with the Knights, the Scarlet Knights,
yeah,
and football in particular more than even basketball at first. And I was like, this is really fun and playing and just getting to enjoy game day with like-minded people and just pass the time, even though the team was kind of bad at the time. But but it
yeah,
was fun. I loved the experience and it was good. And eventually it led me to sports radio and that was even more fun for me because I met even more like-minded people and yeah, I mean they were great and all and I met a lot of great people and
yeah,
yeah, that was a lot of fun. I did some play-by-play, like some opportunities. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be for me personally because there's just like a lot of things you have to put together and
yeah.
but I probably
Did
could have
did you
used
do did you do play by play or color commentary?
a little bit of both, but on football I did like more color commentary, and basketball I did like a little bit of both. But
Nice.
typically you end up doing a little bit of both. But I think color is like more like somehow with less
I think if
sorry.
I went into broadcasting, I would do color. I just can't do play by
It's
play.
very like a lot of things going on, especially
Yeah,
in radio. It's like a step up from even TV. Like TV is kind of like you can kind of just say what's going on. Play by play, you have to be like first and 10 from
you have to just
25 with
yeah,
one receiver left, two right. You have and you know what I mean. Like Menace takes a snap, throws left to Manon guy runs for a 5 yard gain out on the left sideline. Like that's a good example of
yeah,
like to get to this point. It took me probably like a good year of doing demos, and I probably needed another year to really grow into it. But there's just a lot of people and not a lot of opportunities, and
yeah,
I ended up going in a different direction. But another thing we did at the sports station was of course talk shows. Like everyone got to do that. That was a lot of fun. That's where I really met a lot of my friends and had a lot of good memories. Some of them were like Eagles fans, and that was always fun beefing. But
uh,
others were like Giants fans, some Jets. Like everyone's a mix. But no, it's
yeah,
like because of them, I feel like I ended up like enjoying hating on the Eagles more because like they were my friends and like we had a fun time. Like I really that was like it was a lot of fun. So like I took
yeah,
like the villain role of like becoming a Chiefs fan because of it. And I honestly I am kind of like in a way a Chiefs fan too now because of all of that
yeah,
too. But the Eagles, I guess, got their last laugh this in the Super Bowl, unfortunately, with our guy Saquon. But that's a long story. I don't really want to get into that one. But anyway, no, like so between talk shows and friends and some calls and learning how to produce and I did
yeah,
cutting the highlights, running boards. So that was like a lot of it was a good experience. It was a little bit maybe not the direction. I mean, I wanted to kind of go in that direction, then I kind of pivoted, but I realized like it was a lot of fun. But I realized through that, like, I started this podcast also because some of my friends there had their own podcast, and
Yeah.
that really caught on with me. Like sports writing, like, I thought I was gonna do sports journalism as a major. My dad wasn't really like too fond of that, unfortunately, but because of that, I ended up looking for internships in that field. I got an internship, which I still do with Sports Radio America, which is like a writing site where I write a lot of articles. I think I've sent you a couple of those, like the mock draft
Yeah.
article that's
You
from
did.
there. I'm trying to like leverage all of that into like I'm trying to submit a proposal for like Fansided actually. It's like or like one of those sites like to write about the Giants or NFL in general. Maybe the Giants first, but I feel like I
Yeah.
really want to make a break in some form of this industry. Even if it's like as a freelancer, like I really want to like kind of have the inside angle on like on writing and on being like someone reputable, and you know what I mean, even if it's not like the big shots, but like I want to like use that, and maybe from there I can build up even further to write for a bigger site, like that's how it works in this industry. You
Yeah.
start somewhere, you build. So I feel like I've been writing for a couple of years. I've gotten some
Yeah.
strengths together. I'm gonna try to put some proposals together. And yeah, I mean, I feel like that's as much as I love speaking and I love doing play by play, that was like one of my dreams. Like, I think, like you said, I think I'm also better at color because like I have an eye for analyzing the game and the
Right.
ins and outs and the schemes. And that's what I tend to write about. So I feel
Yeah.
like that's kind of like more in my lens now with like writing articles. Like, I love writing, about the scheme of like why, things happen the way they did, like with the Super
Yeah.
Bowl, like, like how the matchups shake out and like how, like why, because, I'm not, as much as I say I like the kind of like I like the Chiefs, but I'm not like an insider. So it took me some time to realize like, okay, this is how their offensive line was constructed, and these guys went in and out, and this is why that fell apart, and this is why you know whatever the Eagles were able to like pass and run and like
Yeah.
even though he was so I like broke that down for people, so whoever doesn't have the time to go through all of that, they have a nice looking article in front of them that combines research with analysis with some personal opinions in there too, maybe. But I try to keep it as objective as possible. I'm a very passionate sports fan about my teams and who I hate, but I love covering it objectively when I write, when I talk. I love analyzing it. I love breaking it down. I love showcasing, I guess, my knowledge for the beauty of the games. And that doesn't only include football, but also like, other sports too. But football
Yeah.
is really like a beautiful game in itself. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do with these articles. And
Yeah.
now
Nice.
it's off season time, free agency. So I've been writing more like mock drafts. I've been writing like, like what should the Giants do? I'm trying to like, because I'm trying to make my proposal Giants esque, I guess, related, because I want to
Yeah.
like pick a team. I've always, but before that, like I've always been very interested in national like coverage. Like I guess at Rutgers at radio, like we obviously cover Rutgers very in depth, and I love it. And we also talk about other stuff too, but not like quite as much. But then like so on my own time on my podcast and when I write, I love covering the leagues. I like every time there's a big game, like I want to write about it, or
Yeah.
a big series. Playoff series, NBA, Stanley Cup, or anything. Like I try to like broaden my horizons. Like my editor, is like a big cricket guy, so I always like try to write about that. Like I enjoy watching cricket too, but like
Mhm.
just like sports in general. But every time there's a big game, like I like analyzing the schemes and the matchups of offense. Like I like doing the like offense versus defense. So it's like when the Chiefs are in offense versus when the Eagles are in defense, what to expect, like where the strengths are, and then flip it, and like that's how I like writing my article. So some of that, like a lot of good analysis in there. So hopefully the fan side thing works. I just realized I went on like a big tangent. Like I don't even know where I
You're
started.
good, Arnav. I enjoyed listening to you speak about
Thank you. I
things.
appreciate it. Yeah, that's kind of like the fun of this show, is where you kind of just like it's like a real life conversation that two
Just
people are having.
vibing, bro. You're just vibing.
Exactly. That's why I called it Just Vibing, because the main series is called Sports Vibe. So this is like just vibing, like we're just vibing, enjoying it. But no, I mean, to keep the summary short, Rutgers, right? So marching band, sports radio, and then this, I guess, is kind of like the last little like farewell in a way. Like
Yeah.
it's like unfortunate. I really wish like something stuck, but I don't know. It's like, but in a way, like I've had different experiences, like like that maybe other people might not have had. Maybe what I mean. I've gotten to see like the best of all the different worlds, like whether it's being sports broadcasting or marching band, or even this. Like I've kind of seen a bunch of different things related to sports, and also
Mhm.
just campus life too, like going to games, eating at the dining hall. Like I've kind of tried to make a commitment like lately to meet new people again, because I don't know, I was like kind of down for a while, like some personal stuff happened, but like, you know, like bouncing back from that this semester and just trying to put myself out there again, meet new people,
Yeah.
make new friends, eat at the dining hall. And I'm an HR major, like kind of lock in on that as well and trying to look for
Yeah.
internships, jobs, and connect with people in that space. I've also joined like, like last semester, I've joined like SHRM, I've joined RE Power, like trying to look for,
Yeah.
like things in that realm as well. So although I don't really, yeah, I mean, I haven't really gone to too many of those, but I have a mentor who's in the HR, like a student, I think he's a grad student and mentor in that field, but just different experiences. I feel like, yeah, I mean, being a commuter, like, but being in these clubs is really what's made the college experience like above and beyond like classes. Because if I feel like if it was just me taking classes and going
Yeah.
home, like I don't feel like I would have gotten that much of anything out of it. You just that would have just been, your classes, and
Always like the
it
thing
is
with
what it
college
is.
is the more you're involved, the more people you'll meet. So like
Exactly.
how much you put into it is how much you'll get out of it.
Yeah.
Definitely like the more people you see, the more people you'll meet, the more you'll be able to get out, and the more experiences you'll be able to get.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then like, yeah, like that's another thing I learned from like the sports journalism radio thing, because like they sound like the same thing. Like, if you only do classes, and you're never going to get that on the air experience, you're never going to get the behind the scenes, you're never going to be able to showcase your tape, your skills, you're never even going to be able to like
Yeah.
learn any of that. You're never going to be able to meet new people if you just only go to class and then come back and you gotta like do things, you gotta meet people, you gotta like see what works for you, you gotta put yourself in these situations that maybe you might not feel the most comfortable with at first, but over time you do. And
Yeah.
that's how you learn from things too. That's how sometimes maybe you make mistakes and you learn from it, or you realize you thought you're good at one thing and you're good at another, or you realize you are really good at one thing and you want to do it. And either way, that's how you figure out what you're good at, what you're not. And you meet new people, you have new experiences, and now you have the skills behind like what you're learning in the classroom, to really make yourself competitive for jobs. But like, yeah, I guess like before we shift over to like the sports side of the show, I did want to ask you, like, I know you said you want to be a sports agent, and I know you're graduating and everything in May. So like, I mean, do you have like, I guess, what are your plans for like after like graduation? Like, do you have anything like lined up, or like what do you
Yeah. So
yeah.
right now, eventually I'd like to be a sports agent, but being that's a job that's like super niche, and like I feel like it can kind of be hard to break into. So I kind of want to have security just like as
Hmm.
a backup. So I'm going, since I'm doing finance and business analytics IT in college, I'm going into corporate banking at PNC for a year, on a 2-year rotational program.
Nice.
So I'm gonna go there and learn as much as I can, and then from there we'll see. But right now, that's what my plan is. And then hopefully, like I have something else cooking. I
Right.
think I
Okay.
have cooking. Um,
Okay.
but we'll go from there. I'll speak on that. Like
When it
like
comes out, I guess
yeah,
that's fair. Yeah, you don't want to like unrelease something that's
yeah.
like still in the works, I guess, if you know what I
Uh,
mean.
but yeah, so we're going. So that's what my plan is right now, and then hopefully from there, um, continue to build the relationships I have, and then eventually get myself a job that I'm very passionate about.
No, yeah, that's yeah, for sure. No, that sounds pretty cool. Like, yeah, I mean, for me, I guess it's trying to figure out, like, trying to like look at different things. Like, I think right now I'm trying to kind of similar, like, do like an HR either internship or entry level position where I'm applying. Like, I want to do some like sort of rotational program too, so I get experience in a bunch of different parts of it. Whether that be like talent acquisition, or like I'm also a people person. I want to work on the people side of the
Yeah.
business. So like I want to, like whatever helps people like get into jobs, roles. Like I shadowed at a company over break, so I found that to be a good experience. So something along those lines. But and on the side, I'm also like working on the sports writing. Like I feel like I said, that's probably where my biggest passion and strengths like kind of combine in a way, and
Yep.
that's why I'm trying to leverage that into, if I could write for like a site like Fansided or one of the other freelance ones, make some extra money on the side on top of that.
Mm.
I think that would be like my ideal plan, as I said, to graduate. But yeah, no, I mean that's pretty cool. Yeah, and then we'll see where it goes from
Yeah.
there. But yeah, anything can happen. Life
Yeah.
is like a movie. But anyway, I mean, it's like life is. It feels like every day. Like I don't know. Do you like feel like every day is like its own story, and like it's like every day so different? And for me, the days
Um,
just feel so long. Like everything just changes from day to day, and then like, but then the weeks are like kind of like shorter in a way. So it's like I don't even like.
for me, I'm like a very routine based person.
Hmm.
So like I'm up at a certain time, like I make my bed by a certain time, like I
Oh,
am doing
okay.
work at a certain, so I'm like very routine based. So I'm
Yeah,
like, so spontaneity and like a regular day for me is not normal.
I
Um,
see.
for
Maybe
me,
that's like a little different than I don't know.
so like I carry a planner around. I don't know if you know this, but I carry like a planner around
Oh,
every,
really? Oh,
yeah,
that's
everywhere I go.
oh, wow.
And like I'm like working on it during class. Like all right, after class, like this is what I have to do.
Oh,
Or,
wow.
like
You're
yeah,
very organized. Yeah, see,
yeah.
I'm really not. I'm
I
not like I don't know, I'm in the middle. I'm not like super spontaneous where you could throw me off my like I have problems like with change. Like I realize like yeah, I'm very like yeah, routine. I'm not like super I don't know. I'm not like like that like
I
the
think
way
I can
you
do
are,
it
but
if I know like I am relatively free and I'm just making things up to be busy. That's one thing. But like let's say like my friends want to go hang out and get something to eat in Metuchen, like I will make it work if I know I don't have if I'm like things I'm
yeah,
doing
if you
are
like
like
have
not
your
of
baseline
are not
covered.
of substance. But like if there are things I'm doing that are of substance and like are due soon, then like obviously I'm not like gonna like
Right, yeah. No, I like to have, like, a base plan of, like, this is what I'm gonna do, like, in a given day, like,
yeah.
but yeah, like I'm doing this podcast now, and then later I'll whatever, I might
Yeah.
go on Dash or whatever, make some money and then watch the game, but, like, between that, like, there's a lot of, like, fluctuations, I guess, like, I might wake up different times, I might stay in my bed and, like,
Yeah.
scroll through the phone, I might, like, I don't know, like, do whatever, like, makes my heart sing, like, you know what I mean? Like, I might go
Yeah.
to the dining hall after like some stuff like fluctuates, but overall, like my game plan is like the same. Like I go to I'll get up, I'll go to class, I'll do an extracurricular,
Yeah.
whatever. I'll go to the gym, I'll do but I don't know, just like every day just feels like it's its own like movie. I don't know why, or not movie, but like its own like story, and like it takes on the life of its own. Each day is just I don't know. So it's just like every week. Like by the time I get to next week, it's probably like five different things will like be different. I don't know why. It's just the way I
Yeah.
process life. I don't know why, but but that's okay. I mean, everyone has a different like look on it. In a
Exactly.
way. So, important thing is time is times are rolling forward and we're moving forward and bettering ourselves and everything. So, but yeah, no, I mean that's a good look at kind of like our backgrounds and like just our life, like what's going on in life and
Yeah.
where things are headed in the future. But with the jobs and with everything else. But I guess I also did want to talk about like I know you're a Giants fan. I haven't actually got to have too many on the like a lot of my co-hosts, similar to radio, have also been not all
Mhm.
some not some of them have been Eagles, but like some of them have also just been other teams like Patriots and or just
Yeah.
random teams. But like it's always good to have a fellow Giants fan on, and especially with the big offseason like this one. Like there's been a lot of
Yeah.
crazy stuff going on. Like this quarterback search has just been like very like
It's very unique. It's I
very
think
unique for sure. Yeah.
um it's first time in my lifetime where the Giants don't have like a very vanilla starting quarterback.
Yeah,
Um
almost like
like
literally.
vanilla personality. Like
Literally and figuratively.
Eli was very bland as a personality to the media, even though you can make fun of him because of like his memes and like his face expression. Same thing with Daniel Jones. You could say the same
Mhm.
thing. But when you go from that to having Jameis Winston, who's eating W's on the
I
sideline and
know, literally eating the W.
like every other huddle,
Yeah, I
um,
love Jameis
Russell
Winston.
Wilson, who is unlimited,
Mr.
you know,
Unlimited. Mm.
Mr. Unlimited, and Broncos country, let's ride, and there's
I
memes about
know.
it.
What
It's a very
yeah,
unique quarterback room for
for
Giants
sure.
history. Because I'm not used to having very loud quarterbacks in my who are
Yeah,
who
on the
express their
Giants.
emotions. So I'm I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's gonna be a fresh for the Giants. And it just kind of shows that they're moving in a step direction forward as instead of backward. Letting Daniel Jones go,
Mm.
understanding that they made a mistake, and then trying to correct that and trying to get this team on the right ship.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about time. Like, obviously with Daniel Jones being here for like, a few years too many and the big contract, the got out of control. It's like what, 160
Yeah,
million, and then not even him not even being able to play through the contract and getting released and the whole
getting
chaos
hurt through
and
it.
hurt and injury. Yeah, and the one season where we went obviously 9-7-1, made the playoffs, lost to beat Minnesota, lost to Philly, but still a big step further than I think anyone, even with the disappointing, frustrating
Yeah.
loss. Like I think no one even thought we'd get that far. So just beating the Vikings, that was like really thrilling. But I guess it was like almost like too good to be true, because then the next year we kind of saw like the pieces fall off the
Well,
wagon and stuff like
yeah, we
that.
had Daniel Jones got hurt with the neck injury early
Yeah,
on, and
a
what
lot of
ended up
stuff
happening,
happened.
he tore his ACL against the Raiders, like 3
Right,
plays
in
in the game.
Vegas. Yeah, yeah.
Um, but there was absolutely nothing like that could like save us that last year. When we
Yeah, that was a
uh,
rough season. But then this one was like even worse. So like
I
this one was
mean,
probably this season was rock bottom. Like of last season like that was like bad, but this season there was just like nothing going like good for us. Even the game we should have lost, we won.
I
Like
mean,
it was that bad. But anyway,
even like I think like with this season, like do you see that they are building blocks?
yeah.
Like it sucked because all the great players the Giants had got hurt. Like Brian Burns, I believe, missed time.
Mhm.
Dexter Lawrence, I don't think he
Yeah,
played
he
the
got
second
injured. Andrew Thomas was
Andrew
injured.
Thomas. Before Andrew Thomas got hurt, the Giants O line was finally
Was actually looking better, yeah. Mhm.
looking like a good offensive line. And then you have Malik Neighbors, who is going to be an All Pro
Yeah,
receiver at
he's
some point.
great. I love him. That's
Um,
actually on the back of
yeah,
this Giants t-shirt, but yeah. Anyway,
um, but I'm not looking forward to like last season. Like the biggest holes were secondary, which was we didn't have enough real cornerback one, but you still drafted a bright spot and a nickel corner in Drew Phillips, who
mhm.
looked really good
He's been
last
great.
year.
Yeah. Mhm.
You drafted Tyler Newman, who was solid, not great, but solid, get the
Pretty
job.
solid. Yeah. Yeah.
But you recognize like the secondary was an issue, and then after Dexter Lawrence got hurt, you realized the D tackle were an issue. You couldn't get anyone to stop the run, so teams were running
Up
all
the
up on
gut.
it.
Yeah. Mhm.
But then you get like, and then for the Giants, like you had Tyrone Tracy, and you find him in like the fourth,
Oh my
fifth.
god, what a great like running back like that he's
What a
become.
great running back to
Mhm.
find. I think his first year, like second year playing running back, third year playing running back in his career, usually wide receiver turned running back. Um, and he looked really good. So I think there are bright spots that
There are. Yeah.
we missed, and that's kind of like I really respect Joe Shane's and Brian Dable's approach to this offseason was, you
It's
know,
been yeah.
plug in the holes that we're missing, right, with the cap base that we do have,
Right. Yeah.
and just builds. We're not saying we're gonna contend, but these guys that you got, Paulson Debo, I think he's 25 years old. Javon Holland, 25 years
Mhm.
old. Like
Yeah.
you brought in young players that you believe will be contributors to this team in the long run. And I think, that's the only thing what you can take forward with, right? Because it's not you were doing desperate moves to win a championship. You would have given more money for Stafford when you were rumored to trade for him. In the negotiations you had with him, and the Rams said the package that was for Stafford was okay. Um, you could have done everything to kind of be more desperate, but so far, getting Russell Wilson, getting a vet presence in the quarterback room, and just opening yourself up to possibilities for best player available, and continue furthering evaluating the quarterback
Mhm.
and score in
Yeah.
game one, and seeing if you
Yeah.
really like them enough to take them at 3, and that's
Right.
like another prospect, right? Process, and I think I've appreciated the way this offseason has formed, even though it might not translate to a Super Bowl winning season. You see how the process will lead to a better team yielding results down the line.
Yeah. I totally agree with like a lot of things that you just said about like the season being frustrating, but also the bright spots like Malik Neighbors, Drew Phillips, Tyron Tracy, like all this
Yeah,
talent that's just joined the team, and that kind of still has to be utilized in a way. But like the bright spots are already there. This offseason I think is after kind of like the way the Giants have been the last 2 years. This offseason is a big one for kind of like righting the ship in a way, kind of correcting the mistakes and building a better team. I mean, the offensive line, like with everyone healthy, I mean, they still have to address that a little bit in the draft for some depth. But just the moves that they made on the defensive side of the ball, I mean, like you mentioned, like Javon Holland, the safety from
Yeah,
Miami, that what a great addition to complement Newbin.
yeah,
And then Austin the Debo, right? Like the corner, obviously getting a corner, we needed someone, kind of Deontay Banks hasn't really been performing that well. So, we needed someone else alongside. Well, now Adoree Jackson's
yeah.
gone, so that kind of opens up another little spot that might need to be addressed. I'm hoping the Giants do find some time in the draft to at least take a corner, to at least push with Banks for that other spot on, because now Adoree's gone. That kind of threw the wrench out the window there, but at least falls into Debo like a very solid corner on the other side. So, and then the obviously having Dexter Lawrence is a big piece. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously Kayvon Thibodeau, the linebacker is Brian Burns. The front seven is like I've always like to say, like that's been like a big strength of the Giants. But I'm adding like a guy like Chauncey Golston from Dallas, who
yeah.
you've seen his quotes, like he's like he wants to be violent, like that's the kind of guy you want on the edge. And then on the other side you have like Nunez Roches. I don't know what they're gonna do about that, because a lot of people said he was going to be a cap casualty, but maybe not. Like I'm not
I
really
think
too
I
sure.
think the moves they made at D tackle, I think they signed like 3 veteran guys.
Yeah,
I
they
think
did sign a bunch of D
yeah.
tackles on cheap deals. Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be interesting. I think some of them, 1 or 2 of them, will be like cap casualties when training camp comes around. I don't believe that they will keep all of them.
Yeah, probably not, because there's just like a lot of big bodies there. Like there's a lot of D tackles, like people in that position, so they're probably gonna have to get rid of somebody. But yeah, and then of course at quarterback, the big question. I think a lot of Giants fans like wanted it to be done on day one, but like first of all, they got Jameis Winston. I mean, these deals have been very affordable as well, like the 2 year,
It, it,
8 million for
it,
Jameis.
it's all these deals the Giants have made are in direct relation to flexibility. And
Hmm.
when you're an organization that don't know exactly the direction, you can end up being 2-14 with your season next year, with your schedule next year,
Yeah,
2-15. I'm sorry, with your
which
17
man, I
game
hope
schedule,
not, but it
or
could
or
be.
you can or you can be a 10-win team out of
It could
nowhere, right?
be. Yeah, it could be. So, or yeah, flexibility. It's all about, like, I think I even mentioned this in our like whatever like presentation, that the free agency thing. It's all about like growing, like stability now and like growth for the future. So I think they're kind of doing both at the same time, and they're building like the building blocks now. They're also allowing themselves to at least somewhat compete and
Yeah,
put a good product on the field that doesn't look like the way it's been the last few seasons.
exactly.
And that's
And
what Jameis is, also contributing to, and Russell, and he's going to be the backup, because most likely, but we'll see how that competition goes. But Jameis just
yeah,
really fun, fiery personality with the quotes, and with a lot of people was like, oh, the 30 touchdowns to 30 picks thing, but at least he's pushing the ball downfield. But with
I
Russell
think
Wilson, you're getting a proven veteran. You're getting,
yeah,
obviously he's not the Russ that played in Seattle, but he's been around the block now a few times, and he's older, but he still has some mobility, which is, I think, important piece that Aaron Rodgers also kind of has, but he's a little older. But his arm strength, he throws passes downfield. He's a really respected guy in the locker room. Like, he just the way
yeah,
he was speaking about like his how he's going to use Malik Neighbors and the different guys on the team. Like I really like, I've always liked Russell Wilson's game, and just the fact that he was willing to even take a deal like 2 years for like or 1 year, like for, and it's very cheap, and like flexible, like 10 and a half to like whatever 21 million. But like just his play, even at a lower level like than he's been in the past, is still that much higher than like a guy like Daniel Jones has been. Like it's
yeah,
going to be the best talent we've seen in quite some time. And the receivers, like, I mean, having like guys like Slayton returning, who is going to be like still like a pretty solid guy, like a two. Malik Neighbors, and then of course you got like guys like Wandale in the slot. You have pieces like Jalen Hyatt, who still have to be properly used. Like, I feel like I've been like, Russell Wilson's been my number one guy. So this, like, personally, but so this I'm really excited about this move,
yeah.
personally, but I think for the team as well, as a stopgap option, I'm really happy with that. I mean, Aaron Rodgers and all would have been fun, but it's just like, he had to make a decision. He never did, and I didn't want to like, be in a situation where he like ghosted the Giants, and
Yeah,
we
there were also, like, other suitors. There was like, if Aaron
exactly
Rodgers went to
Pittsburgh,
Steelers and, like,
Minnesota.
you
He
didn't
could
know, like, if
retire. Like, nobody knows like what he's.
yeah.
I don't even like, the Steelers are still like waiting on that. So
There are
like,
too many scenarios. I think taking Russell Wilson into guarantee is probably the best
yeah,
decision, because the Titans were interested in Russell Wilson, the Browns were interested in Russell
it's
Wilson,
true.
and you just didn't know whether or not you could like if Aaron Rodgers, let's say, all of a sudden retires, it just creates a bigger problem in
Exactly, yeah,
like
and Russell Wilson's already signed somewhere else, so you don't wanna, like, put all your hats in the
eggs in
bucket
one
for yeah, you wanna, like, put all your whatever the yeah, hats in the bucket or marbles in one
basket.
box, and then that box doesn't work, and then
Yeah,
you're out of a vet. Other people are saying Joe Flacco, which honestly I really wouldn't have minded, like, him either, but I think
yeah,
Russell Wilson for me is the number 1 choice, and, the fact that he also wants to play here and Aaron Rodgers kinda, like, on the like, rocking the boat with multiple teams, like, that's not the kinda guy
yeah,
with all the drama like that I wanted, especially after like he's like 42 coming off, what I mean, like the
yeah,
way like even though he did good with the Jets, his talent is there. Russell Wilson also brings that much talent, or maybe a little bit less, but in the same boat of talent, probably more mobility, which I think will be good with us, and the interest and desire to play here at a high level, that Aaron Rodgers like also has, but Russ combines like the desire with like also pretty much just about as much talent, maybe a little bit less, but I think it's the right move for the Giants between his interest, his talent. It's still anything much greater than what we've seen, and on in terms
yeah,
of the contract, it's very accommodating to the Giants. On a very cheap deal for the quarterback market. So I
yeah,
mean, all in all, it's a great win. It's a great addition. Having Jameis as a backup, exciting. I guess now that poses a question as to what the Giants are going to do in the draft, and I've almost gone from like please, like at first, I mean, I still, if they could trade up to one and get Cam Ward, I'd be for it, but I just don't see that happening. I think the Titans are holding on to him. I'm getting more and more clear on that picture that the Titans want Cam Ward. I don't think they're going to trade the pick. If they do, like the Giants would have to put a ridiculous offer together that would probably cost them multiple picks in the future, including like a first rounder. And I don't think that's really worth it. I think the question with the Giants now is, I think based on what I've been seeing, the Titans want to take Cam Ward, the Browns want to take Abdul Carter, most likely. It could be other guys, but most likely what I'm seeing is the Giants are going to have their choice between Travis Hunter or possibly Carter, but like Hunter or Shador Sanders. I'm on the best player available train. I've switched. I was like at first I was begging them to take a quarterback, but with these two guys in the locker room, I think that buys the Giants another year. Personally, I'm team draft Travis Hunter. There's a lot of good quarterbacks in the second round. My guy would be Jackson Dart. I really like him. Another Ole Miss guy. Shador is a great pocket passer. He's tough. Kind of has some mobility, but he's a really good pocket passer. Jackson Dart has some more mobility. Cam Ward's like has all the talent. He needs a little bit of refinement, I would say, but he is like the most talent. But
yeah,
I would say I'm fine with either Shador or Hunter and Dart. But I personally, with the two quarterbacks they have in the room, I want the Giants to go best player available. I just don't think you can pass on a
yeah,
guy like Hunter who can play cornerback, which is kind of almost a position of need in a way too now, and pair up with neighbors on in select packages while still getting a quarterback in the second round who could develop into a potential starter in the future, like Jackson Dart, for example, or maybe even like Tyler Shaw or Milrow.
yeah,
But I mean, personally, my guy would be Jackson Dart. I think he fits the bill as he's athletic, he can throw, he has an arm, he puts the ball into deep, tight pockets sometimes, but I don't know. I think he has some zip on the ball. I like him a lot. I like Travis Hunter a lot. That's my number one. But if they did go Shador, I would not mind it because I think there's a lot of pressure on the Giants to pick a guy for the future, and I think Shador can be that guy, and at least if not like a franchise legend like Eli, he can at least be a solid player. So, if they either go Hunter and Dart, or if they go Shador, I think I wouldn't really mind it either way. But I think personally, I would want them to go Hunter and Dart. But I guess I just want to know like what do you think about all
yeah.
of this?
So this is my perspective on it. I think if the Giants do go Shador Sanders, you have to have absolute conviction that
Yeah, you have to know that like
you
he's the
have
guy.
to have conviction because you cannot pass up on Travis Hunter. And even though Travis Hunter, I think there's a lot to him that we look at him as like this generational prospect, as a great player with great ball skills, but we also
Mhm.
haven't seen a player, um, in such a physical sport like play two ways, right? Um,
Yeah, I don't think like
like
everyone
like
said.
we,
I don't think.
it's really I think in football of all sports, it's so hard to be like the Shohei Ohtani two-way player.
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
don't know if
really,
he
but if
truly will be.
I don't think he will be either, but if it's like a 75 to 25% snap split or even a 60-40,
Right, you
you
have to be
have to be
careful with that.
he has to be good enough where you can like you have to be able to coach him up well, and make sure he's good enough to play at both sides of the ball.
Right.
However, if not Shador, Um, yeah, it's either one of the two, or
Right.
even if it's like, let's say the Brown goes Shedeur Sanders and you have Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter. From then, I would take Abdul Carter just because it gives your team an identity. You went and addressed your secondary this past season. You still have Deontay Banks in your secondary. If you
Mhm.
look at the front sevens that are dominating across the
Oh
league,
my
they
god,
have
yeah,
spent
like,
multiple first round picks. Look, Philly's probably going to get another first round pick on edge and defensive line this year alone. Um,
probably, yeah, most likely.
right? I'm trying to like the Steelers themselves. Look at how dominant they've been up front. I know Alex Hyman, I believe he was undrafted, but the team that win consistently over a long period of time have great front sevens, and I think that
Mhm.
matters more in the NFL. When offensive line talent hasn't been so great as of recent, I think, and I don't know. I think the offensive line talent hasn't been great recently either. Maybe it's because I'm a Giants fan. I think every time Giants draft someone,
Oh
they
my
can't
god,
develop.
yeah. Ugh.
Um,
Our
but
offensive line is
so
just
like it gives you like this feeling of like when you get Burns, uh, Carter, and Thibodeau, it kind of reminds me of like the Giants back in the day with Tuck, JPP, and
yeah,
OC Manora, and you kind of bring that like that's what the identity of the Giants are. Like
like a
we are
pass rush, like a
like
defensive
oh,
heavy minded
defensive
team.
pass rush, and like when the Giants have won Super Bowls in the past, heavy defensive minded pass rush always won them championships and always picking
Right.
them further than when they are. Um, so I would be happy with either three, but if you're taking Sanders, you better have conviction that he's.
Conviction that he's the guy.
Um, I think,
I
but
agree.
then let's say you go Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter in the first round,
Right.
second round, and if you wanted to go quarterback, um, it's tough because not a lot of second round quarterbacks hit. Um,
It's true, yeah. Yeah.
like second round quarterbacks are not a hit in the NFL. I know
I think yeah.
Jalen Hurts was a second round quarterback that was a hit. Derek Carr was a second round quarterback that was a hit. And before you get on me saying Derek Carr like just been average, Derek Carr almost won MVP for the Raiders before he broke his leg.
That's
Um,
true. He's been about like he's still been solid though, I guess
he's
your
he's
point.
still a
Yeah.
quarterback that's under contract for more than $100 million. That's the thing.
Yeah, and yeah, no,
Um,
I get it. I see what you're saying. Like he
I
was
think
definitely a
like
hit.
well,
Mhm.
and then Lamar, end of the first round, pick 32, kind of that's
Oh yeah.
basically first round, second round.
Yeah.
He was a hit, but like then there's like Teddy Bridgewater, who's the same thing, first round, pick 32, wasn't a hit. There's a lot of guys
True.
that,
A lot of backup material
yeah,
and
I
yeah.
feel like there's a lot of backup that I can't even remember right now that were drafted in the second round that um, you can't remember, like you just can't remember because they're
Yeah.
not
The
a
Giants
hit.
might end up actually they might try to trade back into the
Yeah,
first to
but
just
because of
ensure.
the way the quarterback class has came out to be, um, if the way
That's
the
the
quarterback
thing.
like, right, so, like, the way of recent, right? So, like, if you look within your division, what does Washington have? They have Jaden Daniels who can stay in the pocket and get out and make plays on with his legs. You
Mm,
have Jalen Hurts who can stay in the pocket, deliver strikes when he's hot, and run out of the pocket and make plays with his legs.
right.
So if the Giants are going to be in that division and that's the franchise quarterback you're dealing with for the next 15 years, I think you have to go after a quarterback that kind of directly reflects that.
Yeah.
And since you have Jameis and Russell Wilson as your veteran presence, you can go with a quarterback that is a little bit more developmental. And I think
Right.
Jalen Milroe is the pick in the second round if you are going
He has
quarterback.
good mobility.
He had great
He has a
mobility.
good yeah,
He ran
a
a
good
four
frame
four,
too. Yeah.
a great frame, ran a 4.4, could develop behind for a year between Russell and
He does
James.
need
He
development, but he
doesn't
is yeah,
doesn't
I
need to, like, play year 1, and then you're gonna see him in practice for a year, and you'll know, alright, like, if your team sucks and you wanna draft another quarterback, you're more than willing to. If your team sucks and you kind of like, "Hey, man, like, Jalen Milroe is, like, the best quarterback out of everyone we have," and I think
mhm,
you have it with and word is conviction. Word of the day, conviction. But if you have Jalen
yeah,
Milroe, um, I think you can compete. Like that's gives your best shot if you're going to draft a quarterback because he's athletic enough, he's strong enough, and he had arm talent. The thing
he
with him is
does.
that he doesn't see the field really well. That's just fine.
Yeah,
Like you can develop.
right.
You're understanding. You're pretty much taking an exam, studying for an exam about press coverages and what like zone defenses for a
Yeah,
year. Um,
yeah, reading, like yeah,
so
exactly,
I
like,
think
read
I
the
think
defenses, like, how to read
that's where
receivers,
my head's at, and I think
coverages, yeah.
that's why the Giants, if you're gonna go quarterback, you go Jalen Milroe.
Okay. Yeah, I
It's
mean,
just
that's a good. It does. Like he needs refinement. Like you said, I think he needs to work on yeah, I mean, like seeing the field, but he has the pure arm talent, leg talent. That a lot of
yeah,
these other guys like don't. Yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like I think Ward is kind of probably almost definitely off the board for us. But between Sanders, Carter, and Hunter, I would be okay with all three. I feel like the Browns are most likely going to take Carter. If for some reason they don't, I'd be okay with them taking
yeah.
Carter.
I think the Browns
Yeah,
are in a really interesting spot. Just like we don't know. I
yeah,
wouldn't
we don't
pencil in
know. That's the thing.
um Ward just yet. Like, sorry, Abdul Carter just yet. I feel like there's
Browns
something
could
in,
maybe go
they've been
quarterback
they've
too,
been linked to weird quarterback names, and like they could also just
like
end up
Dak
sitting there and
Prescott.
taking
Yeah,
Shador.
I don't think
Like
that's
I saw
happening.
I saw Dak Prescott on Twitter the other day being reported.
Yeah, while they might
I
take
saw
Shador, right? That's a
I
possibility.
saw Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, we
It
just
it's
don't know. Like we don't
it's
know.
very unique. You just don't know exactly where they're
They
gonna
have
go.
like yeah, because they have guys under like they have guys signed, but like obviously I don't like Deshaun Watson. I
Yeah,
don't think he's
and I
gonna play
think
many
like all right,
snaps.
like you
So
bring
like
you bring back Miles Garrett, so the need for Abdul Carter isn't really there.
right.
Um, but on the other side, you have Abdul Carter and Miles Garrett. That's kind of
I
scary.
know, man. Like, see, that's the
Um,
thing with the Giants too. Like, if they can
and then
get Carter to go with like Dexter Lawrence and
and
you know
Brian
like
Burns, that's
and
like
Brian
3
Burns and
that's like
Golston,
that
the other
yeah,
edge, like imagine how scary that. Like, as much as it's not really a position of need, like to have a front that good and game changing, like
yeah.
oh my god,
Wins you
like
football game. You're
that would
in every single game. You're in
exactly
because
with a good
the
pass
front
rush. It's all about the front seven. It's about passing, protecting the passer, and defending and pass rushing. Those
yeah.
are like the three keys to the
So,
game. Basically.
the other perspective with the Browns is that, like, they have a corner in Denzel Ward who I think had, like, a record number of concussions and, like, he's 20 getting up there in age. Like, I just think, like, then
Yeah,
you can
Hunter
convince
could be
like,
potentially a thing
Hunter
too.
Hunter didn't
Yeah,
play there. They don't the Browns, outside of Jerry Jeudy, don't really have any receiving weapons right now. Like, they're kinda
true.
thin at receiver. Outside of Ward and Newsome, I believe just thin at corner, they could be a team that also just goes Travis Hunter right there.
They might, and then that leaves Carter for us, I guess,
Yeah,
if we so want it. But that's the thing, like Carter, I wouldn't be opposed to, like because it basically creates scary hours on our defense, which
yeah,
that'd be a lot of fun. However, I do feel like Hunter is a much more position of need, kind of at corner as well as a two-way player that I think
yeah.
we need a neighbors Hunter splurge on off at
Yeah, and
receiver as
that's
well
why
as a good corner on defense. I think would be solid, solid, solid for us on
that's
almost
why,
like borderline necessary in a way or Shador Sanders as a quarterback. But like you said, they need to have conviction. If there isn't the conviction, then go BPA, take most likely Hunter, and then
right.
fall back on like Dart would still be my guy, and I feel like
It
he's a little
also,
bit more
like
pro ready. But either way, you know,
there's also, like, a scenario where, like, look, if you really like Sanders, but you think Hunter is absolutely generational, you
did
take
you
Hunter
try to trade
and then
back
hope
into the
and then
first? Yeah,
depending on where Sanders goes, like, Sanders could end up going in the later of the first round, where he
could
can just
be.
end up, going into teens, and you can trade up then because you're in the 2nd round at pick 34,
That's
and
true.
you have 4 picks in the top 100 this year.
Yeah.
Um,
If you want to, it's just it's hard knowing because like someone might snatch him up like the Jets or like someone
yeah,
who doesn't even need a quarterback might end up taking him in the top 10 and like
yeah,
that might go out the window. So like I said, if you I don't know. Again, like it's like, do you have like you said, do you have if he's really the guy and you really you really want him and get him, but if not, then like you got to go BPA, and then there's so many like guys in the second round that you could end up taking. Like I said, like if
yeah,
you unless you really know that Sanders is a guy, like I would still much rather them go like Hunter and Dart. But if they really do believe in Shadur Sanders, then by all means take him. But like
yeah.
you said, this is going to be a really interesting draft for all the reasons that we just discussed. Like we don't know where players are going, we don't know what's going to go on. There's so much talent at the top of it. I'm really excited to see
I feel
where
like
the
there's
chips fall.
only one pick that we kinda know right now,
I
and
think
it
it's the
seems to be
Titans
like
taking Ward, right?
yeah, and I think that's about it.
Yeah, and then from there, who knows? And then like based on what we do, like the Patriots like are in for Travis Hunter. Now, what if they can't get him? You know what I mean? Like there's so many. Are they going to go all line? Like Membu or whatever his name is. Like I hope the Giants don't like decide to do that at the repick. Like I'll be so disappointed. But there's so much good offensive line talent in the second and third round and fourth round.
Yeah,
like Donovan Jackson, like the best guards, the best tackles, like our guy at Rutgers, like Holland Pierce, if he could fall to the Giants, like that would
Yeah.
be like a dream. There's so many even guys before that. Then Manung guy at running back. This class for running backs is so deep. Like so many Power 5 starters are in the draft. So many. So and Manung guy's almost like a steal in the 5th or 6th
Yeah.
if someone were to go get him. But either way, I mean, there's just so much talent. So much to talk about in the draft. But I did want to kind of shift out of that. I think we covered the Giants. We covered NFL free agency to an extent. Another big signing I saw was Stephon Diggs going to the Patriots, right? Like Stephon Diggs going to the Patriots. That happened, right? Like
Yeah. Like Monday,
yeah, right, yeah. A big contract there, so that's interesting because he was a former Bill for a while. That's why it cut me a little off guard. But I guess before we hang up, I did want to talk about March Madness real quick. Last week, I think, or before the bracket started, I did an episode with one of my other friends, and we basically went through the entire men's and women's bracket and try to fill it out, whatever. But I wanted to kind of just update on viewers on what's been going on, what's going to go on. It's been a very chalky March Madness up to this point. However, that means these games in the back end have been really good. Obviously, just to kind of fast forward a little bit to the Sweet 16 round. I mean,
Yeah.
Alabama, the performance on Thursday just absolutely shot the lights out. I mean, I cannot believe how many threes they were making. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
The result of it is because the top 12-ish teams, except for, I think the top 10-ish teams this past year were probably the best of the best. I think if you put them in last year's tournament, they probably would be all ones. They were
Yeah,
all seeds. And I think because of how good the top end of the town is, maybe because of NIL
I
transfers.
think so. A lot of the mid-major best guys will
Right, and
transfer
I
to
think
these
it
biggest schools.
hadn't been,
Yeah.
but it wasn't the case last year. So why is it the case this year? So I think we have to look at it from that perspective
Yeah,
too.
that's true. Yeah.
So maybe hopefully it's not like that next
I
year.
know,
But
I feel like part of the beauty of March Madness is these upsets, and
um,
barely any of them happened. The few that
yeah,
did, they even lost in the second round. Colorado State, as good as they
yeah,
were,
and it's just a
McNeese,
state
they
of
even all those guys lost. Drake, all the first round. The few teams that made it out of the first round even lost in the second. So Arkansas was almost their sleeper this year. They lost to Texas
yeah,
Tech in
or
the Sweet
even then,
16.
Arkansas is an SEC team with John
Yeah,
Calipari as his head coach.
exactly. And that was the Cinderella. I mean, so
Yeah,
you can
that was
imagine, that was the
exactly.
10th seed. That was the double digit team making. It wasn't a 16. It wasn't a 15. It wasn't a
Yep.
mid
Like it,
major. Nothing. So it was Arkansas. Calipari. They struggled a little bit. I think one of the big storylines, another one, has been the SEC and the amount of bids they've been getting, and the amount of, I guess, I mean, it was a little bit of overkill getting 14 teams in there, but
yeah,
we've seen the worst ones fall off. But in the Final Four, even they have a chance to send I think 4 of the teams. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, there's a Final Four. There's an SEC team in each one of these Elite 8 games that starts today, and very easily all 4 of them could win. Now some of them might lose, but just to go over
yeah,
the Sweet 16, obviously Bama blitzing through BYU. I mean, that shooting performance just incredible. Obviously it was a matchup between Rutgers Cliff Amori and Mawat Mag, former Scarlet Knights there, so a little reunion. But
mhm,
Florida's been really hot. Their offenses look good. Demolishing Big Ten's Maryland, who had a really good run this year. Duke hanging on versus Arizona. Cooper Flag, #1 prospect in the draft, obviously. Played like it. 30 points again, 6 rebounds, 7 assists. Arizona, Caleb Love with a ridiculous 35-point performance, but not enough for the Cats. So Duke contingent in New Jersey happy. Texas Tech, obviously, like I said, surviving. Arkansas, and then in the second round, or in the yesterday's games, excuse me, Michigan State surviving against Ole Miss. So yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Tom Izzo's team keeps it alive in March, as they've been known to do. He's 10-0 against the SEC, and as much as I don't like to get into this stuff, I really do kind of want the Big Ten to come out on top, because this year has just gotten annoying.
No, this is Micah Parsons. No, don't be like this. And you know what I'm referring to at all? So basically,
Not
Micah's go.
really.
Micah goes on the air one day and he tells the Cowboy, he tells the Eagles, go win one for our division.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
So,
hated that. I was like, what the heck?
no,
That's
no.
not what we're about.
If it ain't Rutgers, it can be anyone else that's not in the Big Ten. If it's
I,
not Rutgers, that's the
yeah.
way I
Like,
think.
wait, so are you do you want the Big Ten schools to win, or
No,
do you
I
want?
don't want
No,
the
you
Big Ten
don't.
schools. I want I would much rather see any other conference win. Um,
I'm, like, in the middle, like, I'm not, like, such a enthusiast. There are schools in the Big Ten I will I hate, like, Penn State, like, obviously, like, I hate them. I
yeah,
love when Ohio State and stuff beats them. I love coattailing on them a lot, and it's been funny, but, and I also just kinda do like Ohio State
yeah,
separately. So that one's always fun because 'cause they're good but not good enough. But besides Penn State, I don't like Michigan, I don't like Purdue, so I enjoyed them both of them losing yesterday. Um, However, that being said, it's just this SEC thing. It's just but anyway, Michigan State knocking off
mhm.
Ole Miss. So that was, I guess, in a way, kind of good. But like, since I don't really mind MSU, but
I enjoy
Kentucky.
Indy, like and genuine like sorry. I enjoy like watching Indiana basketball because I think they have like a bunch of guys from Jersey on that team
Oh, they
historically. Like
do, yeah, like Mbako,
Michigan,
stuff like that.
yeah,
Yeah, no, yeah, that's cool. I mean, I don't really have an affiliation with. There's no other Big Ten school like I like, but it's just when like Bruce Pearl starts screaming
yeah,
like SEC like on the broadcast, like that is gonna like say no, like I want the Big Ten to like
yeah.
stump
So
them,
like
that kind of thing.
my little cousin down in Florida just committed to go to UF.
Hmm.
So right now I've been rooting hard for her team and go
Oh,
UF because it'll be really nice for her when she goes in her freshman year. You know, she has a premier basketball team right
that
next
is
to her.
nice. Yeah, honestly, Florida's yeah.
So
Sorry.
I root for UF, and the only other schools I root for are like the ones that have accepted me to go into their college. If they rejected
That
me,
makes sense.
I don't like them. So,
If they like rejected you, yeah, yeah, no, like yeah,
yeah, I'm a little bit petty, and I'll gladly admit it. So
that's fair. I think we all kind of are with sports to an extent, but Florida, I like the way they play too. They have a good offense, but just to go back to these analysis or recaps for so we did the Thursday games and then Michigan State
yeah,
being Ole Miss, Tennessee beating Kentucky in an SEC battle. So they're moving on, and then yesterday's nightcap, Auburn taking down Michigan, which see that one I'm happy about, but and then Houston knocking off Purdue, same thing because I do not like the Boilermakers. I don't even think it's like Michigan's a little bit personal, but Purdue is more just because I just don't I like seeing them lose and because
that's fair.
I like them choking and embarrassing themselves every year. So even though they don't do that like anymore, like even though they lost to a better
Yeah,
team like for last, it's just fun. So I was like when Houston had the inbounds play, I was like let's go, like I was like really excited. I was
yeah.
just to like dance on Purdue's grave. But anyway, so anyway, Houston's moving on. So let's just let's just preview these final four games, obviously, and like maybe if you want to make a prediction as to like what's gonna be in the final
Yeah.
four of the national champion, that might be a good way to end it off
So
here. But yeah, go
yeah, I
for it.
think today is Florida Texas Tech. I have Florida winning, clearly a better team. I think they have the best college point guard remaining in the tournament. Um,
Mm,
I genuinely enjoy watching Walter Clayton. I think he's a big
he's
time
very
shot
good.
maker.
Yeah.
Super super cool. I know he played at Iona before under Rick Pitino, but he is an absolute baller, and I look forward to him in the NBA. And then we have I think Alabama Duke high scoring game. Alabama doesn't play defense, and they're known to not play defense.
Yeah.
They play like
Yeah.
this very Mike D'Antoni esque basketball where you shoot the
Just fast
three or
paced shot making, like
yeah,
transition
and they
offense.
have I think they have the second best point guard in the league, in college basketball in Mark Sears and out of remaining in the tournament, who big time shot maker, been here before. Although he could be the guy that like takes them over the top and against Duke. However, I think like the defensive prowess of like Cooper Flag and like Con Nipple and I think
Yeah.
that's it, not right, and Malu
Continental, yeah.
Maluak and like Tyrese
Right.
Proctor.
Yeah, they have a very
Size
good Duke
the
squad.
size of Duke, they're a really good defensive team. They can score too at will. And they have these NBA prospects that just seem like they want it. You know, like this is like a Duke team under Coach K. They look like they want to win. They want to go after and be
They
strong.
do, yeah, they look
And
very
I really believe so. Duke will win tonight in a high scoring game, which is
yeah,
not
it's
I
gonna be
think
very high scoring,
um
yeah.
incredibly high scoring. I think like so that'll be a fun game. And then tomorrow's Tennessee versus Houston.
Oh
So
man,
my
that's gonna be
bracket, I have Tennessee, but I'm also a really big fan of Coach Kelvin Sampson
yep, yeah,
as a
mhm.
coach. I think the inbound play he
Oh my
drew,
god, what a beautiful to play design, like,
um,
throw it in and
what
get it right back and roll right
not
to the
even that. It was like the fact that he knew that Braden Smith was gonna leave the inbounder at the last second of the fight, like would then it happened earlier. I don't know if you caught it, but it was happening earlier in the game. So for that reason,
Oh,
it happened, and I thought it was like,
interesting. You left the defender, and then they left him to sneak back in there, and
yeah.
wow, nice.
So
He's a great coach, yeah.
I think he's a great coach. I think
And then Rick Barnes on the other
yeah,
sideline, obviously.
Rick Barnes on the other side, great defensive coach. So that's gonna be a really tough defensive battle. I think it'll be like the first half of like the first 15 minutes of Houston versus Purdue were just great defense, and like nobody could score above
Mhm.
like 15 points. It was kind of wild. And then the last game is, I think, it's Michigan State versus Auburn.
Right.
Um, I really believe the top four teams this year, top five. I think Tennessee number five, are so like.
They're
I
so
think
good. Like,
so
yeah.
I'll give my I think Tennessee will win yet against Houston,
Okay.
and
So we have
then
one underseed winning, I
yeah,
guess.
and then Auburn, Michigan State, the best player in the country. Like he won, like I think he won
Janai
Caldwell,
Broom.
the
Right.
nice, yeah, Janai Broom.
Yeah.
I'm taking Janai Broom, in Auburn.
Yeah.
That their defense to that team, there's a grittiness to it.
Yeah.
Um, I
That's
enjoy
fair.
watching Auburn
They're
basketball. I
gonna
think
yeah, they
I
kinda got snagged, but they've come out of it, and
but
they've
Michigan
looked
State
good.
had Jason Richardson's son, Chase Richardson,
Right.
absolute baller. Um, absolute baller. I think he's going to go in like the top 10 next year potentially, in the draft. And I think they had the Michigan State had the talent to do an upset, even though is it really an upset if it's the two that beats the one?
Right. I mean,
Uh,
not so much, but,
but I
you know.
think Auburn's the best team in the country, second best team in the country outside of Florida this past season.
Yeah.
And Florida and Duke. Well, you can say it's three-way tie.
Florida and Duke
But
are in my championship, so yeah.
so I have Tennessee winning it all. Like that's what my bracket said, and
Okay.
I only did that to stand out. So
Alright. Yeah, I feel like everyone's, like, kinda, like, on Florida, Duke or Florida and Duke right now, maybe once you yeah, I don't know. I feel like I forgot what I even said. I think I said Florida was gonna win because at the time, they were just blitzing through. They also have really good offense. I guess maybe just to go through mine real quick, yeah, Florida, I think they're just too good. I mean, Texas Tech's also good, but Florida, their offense is, like, on another level right now. Bama and Duke, see, the thing is, I think I told you, Duke before Rutgers, like I really did like Duke. However, I just I don't know with the way Bama was shooting the ball, I'm scared. Like I feel like they might. And Cliff Amore versus Malawatch, that's another matchup to look out for. I think Duke can win. They have Cooper Flag. They got a good talent, but if Bama shoots it that way, I'm interested in seeing how Duke can kind of keep up with
I
Bama's
think
pace or
well,
vice
I
versa.
think you're also
I guess.
forgetting about who Duke has.
They have
Uh,
like a nipple. They have like a lot of solid guys
no, they
though.
have
Like
Duke has Nipple who can shoot, and
yeah, they do.
Tyrese Proctor has been
Rock
on
is
an
very good. Yeah.
absolute heater lately,
He's
and
been good. It's
he's been
gonna be a
shooting.
game for sure. Yeah, like no
So
doubt
it's gonna
about
be
it.
a good game. I'm excited. I think it's at like 8 o'clock tonight, so I'm
Yeah,
excited.
it's at 8:49. I'm excited. It could go down to the wire. It depends on if Bama can shoot that well. Obviously, they're gonna win. However, if they don't, I think Duke can win. They have more than enough talent. Even like if you
Yeah,
watch their other guys like Sion James, like
yeah.
he's very good too. So I think if unless Bama shoots the lights out again, I think Duke is the better team.
Yeah,
Houston,
I think there was a
Tennessee.
stat for the Bama game. They took like 66 shots and 51 of them were threes.
That might have
Like,
been like an outlier that they shot it that well, and that might not happen
yeah,
twice in a row. However, Duke has been that consistent all year, so
yeah,
I think maybe that does give Duke the advantage. Maybe I shouldn't be so worried, but we'll see. I think either way should be
yeah.
a very fun, high-scoring game.
I
Tennessee,
agree.
Houston, opposite. It's like a very more defensive-minded game, like you mentioned. I don't know. I feel like this is the year Houston probably like breaks through. I could be wrong, but I think they do look the part this year. But they've been in a couple of tight games. Tennessee's also been in like they've kind of had an easier time with it, even against Kentucky. So we'll
Yeah,
see how that one goes. I don't know. I'd like to say Houston this year's the year they make the Final Four. Could be wrong. And then Michigan State, Auburn. Like I
yeah,
don't know. See, this is maybe where I want to see like a Big Ten team break through over the SEC, but it could go either way. Auburn is like one of the best teams in the country. They have Janai Brew. Michigan State's been insane. Like also like very talented this year, but Auburn might be even more talented. So we'll see what happens. Like I don't know.
yeah,
I would probably say Auburn over MSU, but again, it can
yeah.
go either way. And then I still want to go with my finals prediction of like Florida over Duke, but I might maybe switch that to Duke over Florida. I don't know. Like I
I
feel
think
like
that's a game
on my
that's just
final.
so even. That's just gonna be so tough to pick.
I
Like
think yeah.
any any matchup between the two powerhouses of the SEC and
Oh
Duke
man, it
is
would be
ridiculous.
fire. Yeah, yeah. So
But
my
that's
yeah.
what, you know what, I think, I like, as a basketball fan, I appreciate that we're gonna get to see best of the best this year.
Yeah, I think it would be nice for that. As much as fun as it is, like to have like a Cinderella to go all the way. Like NC State last year was such a fun. Like they won the
Fun
ACC, they went to
story.
the Final
DJ
Four.
Burns, Will
I know
Brett,
DJ Burns. Yeah, exactly. They're
yeah, and
and
then
then now Will Wade is coaching there for McNeese.
yeah,
So like
we
in
had
just 1 year, but
Loyola a couple years ago with
yeah.
Porter Moser at the head coach, and they had a guy from that went to St. Joe's down the street from us.
Oh wow.
That
Yeah, that's
team.
cool.
So
And then St. Peter's even made it to the Elite Eight. It's
yeah,
always fun to have a little like
and then
Cinderella
Princeton, I think like 2 years ago,
Sweet
Princeton was
16. Yeah.
yeah. So
And then even FDU being Purdue, that's like what March is about. But at the same time, like if that doesn't happen, then you have these types of brackets at the end, and just seeing like you said, the best talent in
yeah,
the final, like having a final four of could be all one seeds, it could be some ones and two seeds. Like if you have Duke and three SEC teams, as
yeah,
much as I maybe wouldn't like it, like I wouldn't mind it, or even like Houston, Duke. I'd probably like if it became Florida, Duke, Houston, and Auburn, like I feel like that would be a really good Final Four, or even any combination of any of this, like would be a really good Final Four. So we'll see. I mean, I'm still holding strong on Florida Duke. Obviously, Duke fan in me, I guess, would want Duke to win it. I could see that going either way, but I'm still holding firm on my bracket predictions there. But yeah, no, that's March Madness for you. Have you been watching like the women's tournament, or like any thoughts on that? Really? Yeah, I
no,
mean, kind of like
all
off
I
and
know,
on.
I've been seeing clips. I know. Really thing I'm sad about is
Juju
Juju
Watkins, yeah.
tearing her ACL. I know there was some drama late in the game between University of South Carolina and Maryland.
Yeah,
Um,
there was, yeah,
so other than
USC.
that, I haven't seen much.
I've kind
Um,
of been in and out. Like I'm not like, I guess again with my time at the radio, like I caught on to Rutgers like women's a little bit, so I've kind of I guess some of the takeaways like from this year, it's like Maryland and Alabama had like one like heck of a game. Actually, that was like kind of crazy, but yeah, like the mid majors in women's, like the difference between like the Power Fives and the mid majors and women's is like that much greater than
yeah,
than men's. Even that's really stands out to me, like how the early round games went, and
yeah,
then just seeing it continue to go on. But now we have like better like Duke being UNC in the Sweet 16, Maryland over or South Carolina getting the win, and then LSU, UCLA. So we're headed towards some big games um like Notre Dame and TCU in the Sweet 16.
yeah.
Like both those sides are good. And then like Tennessee, Texas. So we're heading towards like and then Duke, South Carolina, LSU, UCLA. Is USC like still in this thing, or like are they're still in it, right? They're
I
not
wouldn't.
out.
I
Oh yeah, they
wouldn't.
are. They're playing Kansas State tonight, so we'll see. I mean, I was kind of hoping for like a UConn USC in the Sweet 16, maybe USC UCLA, but we'll see. USC is now without Watkins, so all in all, like things to keep in mind. But yeah, I mean, it's been fun. Obviously, like the men's games. I'm really excited for Duke, Alabama. Yeah, I mean, NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs are coming up like relatively soon in like a month, less than a month. So I'm sure like as this continues to go on, I'll probably do an episode next week. Maybe we'll talk about that, talk about the Final Four, but it's all that good stuff. But in the meantime, it's been good like having you on. Obviously, we talked about like our sports background, sports business, and like where we're going, and of course, getting to also talk about like the Giants and free agency and the draft and even some March Madness. Like that's what's really all about. So like I said, like thanks for coming on, taking the time, and I guess I'll see you I'll see you next time, and for the viewers, like I said, I'll try to do an episode with the Final Four, maybe some NBA, NHL playoff predictions, looking at the standings because we're getting close to that time of year. But in the meantime, this has been episode 9 of Just Vibing. Hope to have another Just Vibing somewhat soon in the future. But in the meantime, enjoy March Madness, enjoy the weekend, and we'll see you next time.
I appreciate it, Arnav. Thank you
Yep.
for having me
Certainly.
on.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Take care.